The anime begins with Inari running to school, and as always, she takes a shortcut and passes by the shrine, but she hears a fox cub in trouble and she stops to help it and then runs to school. In PE class, she tells her friends Kiko and Maru about the fox cub and they don't believe her. At that moment, Inari is distracted because she sees her crush, Tambabashi. Her friends do not understand her fascination with him and she says that she knows how hard he trains to be the best. She even bought him a good luck charm for his next game. Inari is so distracted that she gets hit by a basketball and the coach makes her practice with Tambabashi and he tries to teach her how to dribble, but she is so clumsy that she ends up tripping and pulling down his pants, causing everyone to laugh. Inari can't stand being so clumsy and runs away to the shrine and cries uncontrollably until her friends come for her and Keiko hits her head to head, something that she has done since they were children, and that comforts her and makes they go back to school. Then, she tries to apologize to Tambabashi, but he avoids her and runs away from her every time he sees her. In the afternoon, she follows him and sees that he meets Ikimi, the prettiest girl in the class, and she returns him a letter saying to give her more time to think about it, and he blushes, and to Inari's sadness, Akemi wishes him luck for the next match. Akemi feels her heart break and runs to the shrine crying, scolding herself for not realizing that Tambabashi likes cute and pretty girls, someone very different from her. At the shrine, she squeezes the good luck charm that she didn't manage to give him and crying exclaims for the gods. And as if someone had heard her, two fox spirits come out of the statues of the shrine and guide her to a temple in the middle of the forest. Inside the ethereal temple, there is a woman who says her name is Lady Yuka, the deity who lives in that shrine. She thanks her for saving the fox cub this morning, and she explains that very few can see her fox but Inari, and because she has loved this temple since she was a child. Then Lady Yuka tells her that she will grant her a wish and Inari wants to be someone special, so she wishes to be a Kemi. At night, Inari wakes up at the shrine and walks home until she stops at a shop window and is shocked to see that she is now a Kemi. On the other hand, Inari's mother calls Inari's friends to ask about her daughter, and that alerts them that something is wrong. So they run to look for her, and by chance they meet Tambabashi, and Keiko can't help but complain to him for running away from Inari every time she wanted to apologize to him, and that makes him feel guilty. Meanwhile, Inari is so hungry that she drools outside a noodle restaurant, and since she looks like a Kimi, some guys try to flirt with her, but luckily, she is saved by Tambabashi. She is so hungry that he pays for soup for her and tells her that Inari is missing, and it is his fault because he avoided her out of embarrassment all day. Tambabashi's tears make Inari feel bad, and she doesn't know what to say even though she is in Akemi's body, and she realizes that no matter what she looks like, she is still Inari. So she apologizes to him and runs to the temple crying. The foxes see her and don't understand why she is not happy, but it was all a ruse by Inari, so that they would appear and take her to Lady Yuka. She asked her to turn her back into Inari again, but Lady Yuka says that she cannot grant two wishes to the same person in such a short time. That totally discourages Inari, so Lady Yuka comes up with an idea to remedy this disaster. She feeds her with a little piece of her power, and from now on Inari can become the person she wants, so Inari fortunately recovers her old body. Before leaving, Lady Yuka gives her a familiar, the fox cub, that she saved this morning, only she can see it, and its name is Khan. After that, she leaves the shrine and runs into her friends who are very worried, and not only them, her brother Tugo also went to look for her at the shrine and takes her home, but not before looking angrily at the shrine. The next day at school, Inari brings the good luck charm to give to Tambabashi, but he is absent from class. After school, Inari goes to Tamabashi's house, but when she arrives at his apartment, she decides to transform into Hashimo, one of Tamabashi's friends. And since he believes that Inari is Hashimo, he gives her a magazine of girls in bikinis and tells her that he missed school because his mother is sick. And that makes Inari realize that she doesn't know much about him, since he always shows himself with a smile to everyone. And while he's cooking for his family, she can't help but hug him, which is a little weird because she's in Hashimo's body, so after that, she runs away to the shrine. There, Lady Yuka waits for her worriedly along with other minor gods. They have been summoned by Amaterasu to the celestial plane. There, Amaterasu scolds them for what they have done and tells Inari that she must stay in the celestial plane for years to become a god due to the power of Lady Yuka that she ate yesterday. Inari tries to complain, but Amaterasu is relentless and tells her the other option is to show him that she can go an entire day without transforming, and Inari thinks it is a piece of cake. But if she fails, she must return to the celestial plane and Lady Yuka must marry a god. The next day, Inari is on her way to Tambabashi's basketball game and runs into Akemi, so she thinks it will be easy to comply with Amaterasu's orders. But he has a trick along the way so that she wants to become someone else, like to help a child reach his balloon, carry a baby stroller up the stairs, catch a cat, or the most serious case, a widowed man asks her help to see his wife again. But Inari resists the temptation, and with the help of Akemi, she avoids transforming. although people sent by Amaterasu continue to appear, so the two run to the storage room of the school gym and stop there to rest. The problem is that the day is very hot, Akemi is exhausted and faints, and when Inari tries to go out to ask for help, she realizes that they have been locked in by Amaterasu's people, and the only way out is a small window. The minutes pass and she decides to transform into Tambabashi's little brother and thus climb out of the window. Then she transforms back into Inari and runs to the gym to ask for help, interrupting Tambabashi's match. Fortunately, what happened to Akemi was nothing serious, she just had sunstroke, and thanks to Inari everything turned out well. After all, Inari gathers her courage and gives the good luck charm to Tambabashi and wishes him only happy days from today onwards since she knows she must leave. Later, she takes the train to the celestial plane and cries all the way, internally saying goodbye to her loved ones. When she arrives at the temple of Amaterasu, she apologizes to Lady Yuka. But on the contrary, the goddess asks her forgiveness for having gotten her into all this, and to the surprise of both, Amaterasu tells Lady Yuka that she passed the test. If Lady Yuka had blamed Inari for everything, Amaterasu would have punished them both, but that was not the case, and Inari is free to return to the human world. The next day, Inari goes to school and sees Akemi and Tambabashi talking. She tells him that she has an answer for him, and to Inari's surprise, Akemi tells him that she accepts the coach's proposal to be the team's manager. And when Tambabashi sees Inari, he tells her that it's all thanks to his good luck charm and shows her that he tied it to his school bag, which makes Inari immensely happy, so after class, she runs to the shrine to tell Lady Yuka. And when the god joins their foreheads, she feels a familiar warmth run through her body and realizes that the god has taken care of her for a long time. Suddenly, her brother appears and abruptly separates them, telling Lady Yuka to stay away from Inari. Tuka severely scolds his sister, telling her that Lady Yuka may want to sacrifice her to Amaterasu, which causes Inari to laugh and she leaves with him. Lady Yuka is confused since she does not know who Tuka is or why he can see her. After much thinking, she remembers that many years ago, Inari got lost in the shrine forest and she helped her get back to her brother, and he incredibly was able to see her. Suddenly, she senses a familiar presence and runs away from the shrine. The next day, a handsome boy tries to talk to Inari at school, but she runs to the bathroom, and when she comes out, she bumps into herself as the handsome boy transformed into her. After that, the fake Inari takes her place and goes to the classroom, so Inari transforms into the vice principal of the school to talk to the imposter god. But they can hardly talk because Inari's friends show up and give the fake Inari her EF clothes to go to the gym, and since Inari is in a man's body, she can't enter the girls' changing room. During the day, the fake Inari fools everyone even though she is more athletic and charming than the real Inari. So much so that she makes Akemi blush. Meanwhile, at Inari's house, Tuka is working on his manga and hears noises in the attic and is surprised to see Lady Yuka sleeping there. She explains she is running away from her brother. He is obsessed with spending time with her and does not accept refusals, so she decided to hide in Inari's attic. Tuka tells her that it doesn't matter to him and she should leave, but Lady Yuka is more interested in his video games and asks to play a game with her. On the other hand, Hours, a false Inari, takes his true form. He is Tashi, brother of Lady Yuka and god of agriculture. He has come to meet the human who stole part of the power of his beloved sister. He loves his sister very much, but she doesn't want him close, so she put a protective shield on the shrine, and he couldn't go in to give her the invitation to the party to welcome the new god, Inari. At that moment, Tambabashi sees them very close together, and before he misinterprets the situation, she clarifies that Tashi is a friend of her brother. After that, they go to the celestial plane where all the low-ranking gods do not stop admiring Inari since they feel the power of Lady Yuka in her, until a pink-haired girl called them out for bothering the new god. She is Maya, goddess of commercial prosperity, and seems like a normal goddess unlike the others. Meanwhile, at Inari's house, while Tuka was working, he did not notice that Lady Yuka fell asleep in his bed and hears her murmuring in her sleep about something that Inari has. So he wakes her up abruptly and asks her what's going on with Inari, and when the goddess doesn't answer, he climbs on top of her in the bed to question her. But that makes her very red and she leaves the house. On the other hand, in the celestial plane, Moya tells Inari that there are several shrine gods, but only Lady Yuka lives there because she fled the celestial plane because many gods asked her to marry them every second, seeking her power. So she constantly isolated herself until Mia showed her a game of love routes, and since then, Lady Yuka is obsessed with earthly video games. After that, Inari goes to the party hall where many lower-ranking gods keep praising her and asking her to show them her new power. She is so tired of their requests that she decides to transform into Lady Yuka. But her powers get out of control, and Amaterasu appears in front of Inari and turns off her powers, which makes Lady Yuka weaker in the shrine. Luckily, Tuka was at the shrine because he went to leave an offering to the gods on behalf of his mother, and when he takes her in his arms, he hears her murmuring about Inari. Then he feeds her the offering food and demands that she explain to him what is happening with Inari. But instead, she asks him to play video games again since it is something she enjoys a lot. On the other hand, in the celestial plane, Amaterasu says that Lady Yuka's power has not yet settled in Inari's body, and that is why she lost control. She must learn to control it so that later she can shape it and remove it from her body herself and return it to Lady Yuka. And then, when Inari gets it, she will stop seeing Lady Yuka and return to her normal life. After that, she returns home and Kon tells her that the best way to control Lady Yuka's power is to see how long she can withstand this simple transformation. So Inari becomes her mother, but she is surprised by Tuka. Fortunately, he thinks Inari is his mother, but when he comes downstairs, he finds his parents in the kitchen, prompting him to say out loud that Lady Yuka gave Inari divine powers, causing his parents to laugh. Tuka knows that this is the real world, but he still suspects that something strange is happening and decides to observe Inari. He even puts a futon on the floor of her room to sleep near her. Days later, Inari tells Lady Yuka that her brother doesn't leave her alone, and Kon says that the solution is for Inari to return the power to Lady Yuka, and that makes her sad. But Lady Yuka tells her that she should live a normal life, and especially tomorrow, the festival, so she agrees to tell Tuka that nothing is happening. The next day, Inari puts on a beautiful yukata and meets Akimi, who is now a good friend of hers, and the two talk about their favorite manga, and Akimi says that she loved the scene where the boy saves the protagonist. Suddenly, they feel that someone is following them and Keiko appears out of nowhere and hits Tashi, who was just trying to scare Inari. So she surreptitiously takes him away while Kiko calms Akimi down. When Inari returns, she notices Akimi looking at Kiko blushing, and then they meet up with Maru and walk around the festival stalls. Then Akimi asks Inari if she is into Tamabashi, and Inari can't deny it because she turns very red. At that moment, she sees Tamabashi and pretends that she was passing by, and when he sees her, his mother surreptitiously leaves them alone. As they walk through the festival stalls, he says she looks very cute in a yukata, which almost knocks her out, but she gets so distracted that she loses Tamabashi in the crowd. Luckily, he realizes it in time and takes her hand so that she doesn't get lost again, making Inari immensely happy, and that emotion is so intense that Lady Yuka feels it too. She watches Inari and Tamabashi walking through the shrine and is not surprised to see Tuka secretly chasing his sister. Suddenly, Tashi appears and hugs her sister, thanking her for lifting the barrier, but she didn't do such a thing, so she assumes that her powers are weakening. This scene is viewed with disgust by Tuka, and Lady Yuka tells him that this is what he looks like chasing Inari around the shrine, so she ties her brother to a light post. Then Tuka asks her if she gave a little of her powers to Inari, and she lies to him that she only gave her the ability to see her and other gods, and Tuka believes her. After that, Tashi scolds his sister for associating with humans when their life lasted a blink compared to theirs, and Lady Yuka sadly says she just wanted to feel a little of their happiness. On the other hand, Inari and Tamabashi walk across a bridge where couples walk holding hands, and Inari trips because her sandals are new and have scratched her feet, so he offers to carry her on his back to a bench. Inari is glad that he can't see how red she is and tells him that his shoulders have gotten wider since last year, since she also tripped and he carried her on his back. He says it's surprising that she noticed that, and she blurts out that she's always watching him, which makes him blush too. Later, while she rests her feet on a towel, her friends join them, and thus Inari's happiness is complete, and she internally thanks Lady Yuka, since without her, this would not have been possible before, and decides that she also wants her to be happy. Days later, Inari goes to the shrine and tells Lady Yuka that she's going on a summer trip with her parents and friends to the beach. As soon as they arrive, Akimi and Keiko draw the boys' attention, but Keiko scares them away by showing them that she is stronger than them. And on the other hand, Maru doesn't feel very comfortable with Akimi, so she spends her time with Inari, who has so much fun that Lady Yuka feels her joy from the shrine. Although her brother's words do not leave her mind, and that saddens her, and this is seen by Tuka, who decided not to go to the beach. On the other hand, while Maru and Inari are having fun in the ocean, she realizes that her friend is not having a good time at all, and Maru confesses that she doesn't like Akimi because she feels that they are on different wavelengths. While Akimi confesses to Keiko that she has realized that Maru doesn't like her, and Keiko says Maru is shy and always slow to accept friendship, so she asks her to give her time, and Inari will know how to make everything work. Although Inari is shy, she has a great ability to make friends. At night, Inari is very excited to see the cabin where they will sleep, but things are tense between the four of them since Maru and Akimi prefer not to speak to each other, and Keiko is sleepy. Then Inari suggests watching TV, and while Akimi goes to buy drinks, she asks Maru to try to have a good time with Akimi. But Maru does not give in and tells Inari that all this is their fault, and she would prefer that it was just the three of them right now. That angers Inari, and she goes in search of Akimi, who is being bothered by a boy, so Inari transforms into Keiko and scares him. After the guy runs away, Akemi crying hugs Inari thinking she is Keiko, and the two walk back to the cabin. Meanwhile, at the cabin, Maru cries for injuring Inari and Keiko tells her she should give Akemi a chance, and Maru confesses that she is afraid that they will push her aside. But Keiko reminds her that Inari would never let that happen. On the other hand, Inari, still converted into Keiko, tells Akemi that she just has to give Maru time, and before arriving at the cabin, Kon reminds Inari that she must transform back into her true body. Then Inari makes the excuse that she's going to go to a restroom to use the bathroom, and after a few minutes, she returns transformed into herself and tells Akemi that she went out for a walk and ran into Keiko, who was already returning to the cabin. But that triggers a disaster. Akemi starts crying because she thinks Keiko is trying to avoid her after she hugged her, and it breaks her heart because she thought she could open up to Keiko, and that is something that has cost her a lot. She does not know how to interact with others because her parents are never home, and she prefers to distance herself from everyone. Inari tries to console her, but Akemi only cries more and says that even when talking to Keiko, they talk about how great Inari is, and that makes her envious. So much that Akemi wishes she were like Inari, and that activates Inari's powers, which get out of control, and Lady Yuka feels it from the shrine. Kon realizes that Inari's heart wants to grant Akemi her wish and stops her before she does it, and although Inari wants to help Akemi, she knows that she cannot use her powers for this and decides to be honest. Inari tells Akemi that she also wants to be like her. She's good at school, the boys flirt with her, and everything turns out well for her. Totally opposite of Inari, but still they are the same. One wants what the other has, and Inari tells her that the good thing about being friends now is that they can comfort each other when bad feelings drown them, and Akemi is happy to have her as her friend. Then Inari's powers calm down and Lady Yuka recovers from the discomfort she felt. After that, the girls return to the cabin and meet halfway there with Maru and Keiko, who had gone out to look for them because they were taking too long. Then Maru, Inari, and Akemi apologize at the same time because they know that they acted wrong, and Maru tells Akemi that she can call her Maru, since she has decided to give it a chance, and finally the girls laugh again, something that makes Inari's parents happy. At that moment, Inari's mom calls Tuka to let him know that they will return the next day at night, and he cuts her call because he feels a presence behind him. Lady Yuko is passing by and slowly tells him that she wants to play video games with him, but he refuses, which saddens her. So he tells her that she can go to his house tomorrow before Inari returns. So, very early the next day, Lady Yuka appears at Tuka's door, and he has no choice but to let her in. On the other hand, on the beach, the girls are grilling barbecue, and Inari says that she already wants to go back to school, and Akemi teases her saying she only wants to see Tambabashi, but Inari says she wants to go to the school's Wisteria festival, something that Keiko and Maru consider boring, but Akemi finds it interesting, so she signs up to go with them. After that, they admire how Keiko beats Inari's father in paddle tennis, and Akemi confesses she's in love with Keiko, and Maru says she fully supports them, since she's an otaku who likes to read Yuri. At the end of the trip, they go to the souvenir shops, and Maru gives Keiko and Akemi a couple keychains, and Inari looks for a souvenir for Lady Yuka, and Kon tells her the goddess will love anything she brings her. On the other hand, at Inari's house, Lady Yuka has a great time playing video games with Tuka, until he gets tired of losing and tells her to play alone, but she prefers to look at family photo albums, and Melancholy thinks that human life passes too fast. Then she takes Tuka's hand, remembering how she met him 10 years ago. It turns out that he had gotten lost in the shrine forest, and she took human form to help him return to the temple. After that, she falls asleep and goes down to cook to wait for his family, and when they arrive, he tells Inari that a guest is waiting for her upstairs. And when Inari sees Lady Yuka sleepy and with her mismatched yukata, she accuses her brother of immoral things, and he defends himself by saying that he was playing babysitter while she had a good time on the beach. Later, Lady Yuka and Inari go to her room, and Inari gives her a bottle of sake as a souvenir, something the goddess appreciates, and she asks her to tell her everything about her trip, and Inari tells her about her friends and chooses not to reveal about the lack of control of her divine power because she doesn't want to worry her. Chapter 7. Days later, the drawing is made for the roles of the play for the school festival, and Inari wishes with all her heart the role of Tambabashi's love interest, and miraculously, she gets it. So she runs to tell Lady Yuka, who wishes her good luck in the play. At that moment, Mia appears at the shrine and gives Lady Yuka a letter from her mother. She informs her she's arranged many dates for her during Izumo. Seeing Lady Yuka worried, Mia advises her to marry any god she likes and with whom she enjoys spending time, although Lady Yuka can only think of Tuka. As the days go by, Inari and Tambabashi practice their lines happily until the director of the play, Hashimo, tells them he included a kiss in the play, and the two take it well. Inari can't stop imagining what it will be like, but one day she sees Tashi flirting with many girls and she scolds him, and unfortunately, this is seen by Hashimo and Tambabashi, and now they believe that they are a couple. On the other hand, Tuka goes to visit Lady Yuka, and she tells him she will go on many dates arranged by her mother, and she asks him about the feelings of women and men, and that puts him in a bad mood, so the two end up fighting. At night, while Inari practices her lines, Kon congratulates her for using her powers to win the role of protagonist, and that is like a bucket of cold water for Inari. She now feels that she cheated. The next day, she and Tambabashi practice their lines, and she keeps thinking she cheated to get the role, so she forgets her lines, and he thinks she is worried about the kissing scene, so he tells her that they can eliminate the kissing scene if she wants. Inari thinks he is rejecting her, and during the day, she realizes that before the girls used to chase Tambabashi a lot like Momoyama, but now he spends more time with her and deduces that she has unconsciously been pushing the girls away with her powers. Later, in the second rehearsal of the day, she makes a mistake again in her lines and decides to abandon the play out of guilt, and Tambabashi believes it is because of her boyfriend, earning a scolding from Akimi. Something surprising since she never gets angry, it makes it clear to him that Inari does not have a boyfriend, something that relieves Tambabashi. Meanwhile, on the roof, Inari decides to do the right thing and give Momoyama's love letter to Tambabashi. But a gust of wind blows the letter away, and Kon confirms that she unconsciously called the wind. Her guilt consumes her, and it is so big that Lady Yuka feels it. Then Inari transforms into Momoyama and wants to go find Tambabashi to confess that she loves him and name Momoyama. But at that moment, Tambabashi goes up to the roof looking for Inari, and she takes the opportunity to confess her love for him using Momoyama's body. But he rejects her feelings and asks her what is love. And Inari says the love is like an obsession. You can only think about that person, and you want to know more about the person you love, and Tambabashi realizes that he feels that for Inari. After that, Inari goes to talk to Momoyama and tells her that Tambabashi read her letter and rejected her feelings. It is half true, but the result is the same, and Momoyama sadly accepts it. Days later, the festival begins, and Inari takes the role of behind-the-scenes helper, managing to at least help Tambabashi give him his things. At night, she goes to the shrine to say goodbye to Lady Yuka, since she's leaving to Izumo, and the goddess tells her that even if she gets married, they will still be able to see each other because her power is still in her body. Unfortunately, this is overheard by Tuka, who accuses Lady Yuka of lying to him, but immediately, Lady Yuka disappears into the train to travel to Izumo. 3 days later, Tuka is still angry with Lady Yuka, so he decides to go to Izumo and takes Inari with him. There, they quickly find Lady Yuka with her terrifying mother, Lady Kamu. The older goddess gets displeased to see her daughter's friendships, and she gets angrier when she sees that her son Tashi also came to interrupt Yuka's dates, so she orders Tashi to take care of the humans. In one of the cafes, Tashi tells them that his mother wants to marry Lady Yuka because she does not want to lose to another goddess who is about to marry her daughter. This deeply angers Inari since she cannot believe that Lady Kamu would want to do something so mean to her daughter, so together with Tashi, they propose to ruin those dates, but Tuka lies that he doesn't care about those dates and leaves. So Tashi and Inari go to one of the temples where Lady Kamu and Lady Yuka are meeting with a stinking insect god, but suddenly, a talking crow appears and takes Tashi away. Alone, Inari does not know how to save Lady Yuka, until she sees her go out to look for flowers, and she takes the opportunity to transform into Lady Yuka despite Kon's warnings. The problem is that Inari's transformation into Lady Yuka leaves the real Lady Yuka very weak. Then Inari enters the room and tells Lady Kamu that she does not want to marry a bug, which deeply angers her, and the anger is so big that she orders her lackeys to find Inari and Tuka and bring them to her, since she knows that they are to blame for her daughter's rude attitude. On the other hand, Tuka realizes that some guys want to catch him and runs non-stop until he runs into Lady Yuka passed out, and when she wakes up, she confesses the truth about her, Inari, and the divine power. It turns out that every time Inari transforms into someone else, she gets weaker, and now that she transforms into a goddess, she could take all the power away from her and become a real goddess. Tuka can't believe what he hears, and when she says crying that she will fade away when that happens, he hugs her worried and tells her they can find a solution together since they are friends, and when she calms down, they go in search of Inari. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Inari, now transformed into herself, hides from Lady Kamu's lackeys but is found by a blonde and thick god. He is Master Susano, father of Lady Yuka. She asks him to help his daughter and stop the arranged dates. He refuses to do so unless she gives him a good reason. At that moment, Lady Kamu and a horde of lower-ranking gods arrive demanding that she returns Lady Yuka's power, and that ignites Inari's anger, and she yells at Lady Kamu that she doesn't care about her daughter's feelings, and she drives the minor gods saying they just want to take over Lady Yuka's power without lifting a finger, and that is shameful. All this is heard by Tuka and Lady Yuka, who arrived when they saw the commotion. Master Susano, satisfied with Inari's response, decides to put a stop to the arranged dates and makes a winning pose to his wife, and immediately Lady Kamu blushes and hugs him, as does Amaterasu, who who praises the cuteness of his little brother. After that, Inari and Tuka say goodbye to Lady Yuka, who must stay in Izumo for a month. Alone, Amaterasu asks Lady Yuka if she has already figured out how to get her power back, and she confesses that when Inari felt guilty for having used her powers without thinking about it, she started to reject it and Lady Yuka almost got it back, and that worries Amaterasu, so he decides to lock her in the mountain. Susanoo asks Amaterasu why he locked his daughter in the mountains, and he says that Lady Yuka needs some time alone because she is very close to the human girl and needs to reconnect with her own soul. A month later, Inari continues going to the shrine, and the fox spirits tell her that Lady Yuka has not returned, and although she is a little sad, she cannot help but be happy because she is getting closer to Tamabashi. One day, Hashimo asks Tamabashi if he is in love with Inari, and he blushes. Unfortunately, this is seen by Momoyama, who musters up the courage to apologize for writing him a love letter. But the problem is that he never read that letter because Inari pretended to be Momoyama when she confused Momoyama's feelings. After that, Momoyama cries and tells her friends that Inari never gave her letter to Tamabashi. In the afternoon, Inari goes to her brother's room and tells him Lady Yuka has not returned yet, and that puts him in a worse mood since he has not stopped thinking about her since they left her in Izumo. The next day, Inari's class goes to clean the shrine, and Tamabashi takes the opportunity to give her a good luck charm, and this is seen by Momoyama, who can't help but feel sad, and that angers her friend Kengetsu. Maru, Inari, Keiko, and Akemi separate into pairs to clean, and soon the four girls realize that all the other girls are ignoring them. This angers Keiko and makes one of the girls cry to tell them why they are being ignored, but it is Akemi with her sweet voice who gets the girls to confess. On the other hand, Inari finds out that it is Kengetsu who is threatening the other girls to ignore them, so she runs in search of her and confronts her, and Kengetsu angrily accuses her that she got rid of Momoyama's letter so she could be with Tamabashi, and although Inari says the wind blew away Momoyama's letter, the girls accuse her of being just like Ehime, a girl interested only in boys, and that makes Maru angry. But Kengetsu is stronger than her and pushes Maru, hurting her. That awakens Inari's anger, and for the first time, she feels hatred, and at that moment, her powers get out of control, so much so that Tokyo starts to shake. She is about to cause an earthquake. This is felt by Lady Yuka, who with great effort manages to open a crack in the mountain in which she is imprisoned and manages to control Inari's powers herself. This action is felt throughout the celestial plane, and Inari finally comes to her senses and Tokyo stops shaking. Then all the teachers evacuate the students quickly, and despite everything that happened, Inari helps Kengetsu. When all the students gather, Momoe tells Inari that she knows what Kengetsu has been doing and apologizes, but Inari comes clean and says that she threw away her letter. And Momoya forgives her despite Kengetsu's complaints, and since Kengetsu is not afraid of Kiko, she refuses to apologize, so Akemi, with her sweet voice, forces her, and Kengetsu apologizes to everyone. Suddenly, Tuka arrives at the shrine and takes Inari aside and asks her if she shake Tokyo using Lady Yuka's powers, and when she says that everything is fine because Lady Yuka helped her, he tells her the tragic truth about the divine power. Every time she uses Lady Yuka's powers, she takes away a little of her divinity, and soon she will fade away. Indeed, on the mountain, Lady Yuka is beginning to disappear. Inari doesn't know how to get there, but with the help of Khan's howls, she manages to find the path illuminated by the divine blue flames and runs towards Lady Yuka, because this time is her turn to save her. And suddenly, all the fox spirits leave their temples and respond to Khan's call, and in unison take Inari to the celestial plane, where Tashi has done his best to break the seals that did not allow them to approach the mountain. Inside it, Lady Yuka disappears more and more until Inari arrives and with her bare hands tries to open the mountain, feeling guilty for having come to this. From the throne of Amaterasu, Lady Yuka's parents observe everything that is happening without being able to intervene. Inari continues trying to open the mountain. The wolf spirits and Tashi join her and push until a small crack allows them to see Lady Yuka. She is barely visible, so she says goodbye to Inari, apologizing for not being able to continue protecting her, but that angers Inari and she continues trying to widen the crack. This is seen by Lady Yuka's parents, and Susanoo tells Amaterasu that enough is enough, and he huffs and allows them to open the mountain. Then Inari enters and runs to hug Lady Yuka, but crosses her because the goddess has almost completely disappeared and complains to her for not having told her that every time she used her powers, she lost part of her divinity. And the goddess only says that she didn't want to worry her, just as Inari never told her that she continually lost control of her divine power so as not to worry her, and that makes Inari smile because it means that they are even. Then Inari says she will return her power right now, and Lady Yuka promises to always watch over her even if she can't see her anymore, while Khan cries inconsolably because she won't be seen by Inari anymore either. When Inari returns her power to Lady Yuka, they hold their hands and Inari thanks her for her divine power since thanks to it, she was able to get closer to Tambabashi and is now able to make more friends like Himi, but the goddess tells her that divine power is not capable of moving people's hearts. It was all thanks to Inari's determination. Then they say goodbye, and when Lady Yuka's hands let her go, Inari is immediately transported to the shrine where her friends and Tambabashi were waiting for her. Seeing her covered in scratches, they ask her if she's okay, and she starts crying her eyes out saying that she's okay. On the other hand, in the celestial plane, Amaterasu asks Lady Yuka if she already understood why deities and humans should not coexist for too long. And although that is true, Lady Yuka says that there is a lot to learn from humans and asks his permission to continue observing them, and he just smiles at her. Sometime later, Inari and Tuka stop by the shrine to leave an offering, and when Inari sees Tambabashi waiting for her, she feels a happy presence and knows that Lady Yuka is still taking care of her. And she is right. Even though they can't see her, Lady Yuka is by Tuka's side. OVA, months later, Inari stops by the temple to leave her daily offering to Lady Yuka, and when Tashi tries to eat it, the goddess of barrier electrocutes him. After that, she and Kon sit down to eat Inari's offering and nostalgically remember the past. A few months ago, Kon went to train in a waterfall and Mia found her and told her that since Inari was human, maybe she should train by observing humans, so Kon took the form of a human little girl, although she kept her fox ears and tail and went to the human world. There Kon ran into Shiru, Tambabashi's little brother. The little boy wouldn't stop crying saying that he hated his brother, so Kon decided to help him. On the other hand, Inari was looking for Kon and ran into Tambabashi, who was looking for Shiru, and he told her that little Shiru doesn't understand that their mother can't play with him all the time because she has to work hard to pay the bills. Then Inari decided to help him look for little Shiru. Meanwhile, the little boy is a challenge for Kon. He wants everything and nothing at the same time. Then they went into a store and the boy desperately wanted to buy fireworks, but none of them have any money. Fortunately, Inari appeared and paid for them, and upon hearing that the boy wants to set off fireworks with his mother, she decides to transform into the woman, but Kon stops her. After that, Inari took Shiru to a supermarket where she bought him snacks, but by chance, that was where Tambabashi's mother works as a cashier. Little Shiru asked his mother to play with him, but that bothers the customers, so Inari takes him away, and outside the market they meet Tambabashi, who scolds his little brother. The child began to cry and ran away, followed by Tambabashi, and despite Kon's advice, Inari transformed into their mother and went after them. But when she arrived, she saw that Tambabashi has calmed Shiru down, and the little boy feels bad seeing his mother because he thinks that because of him she has quit her job. So Inari realized that she only took a short break and leaves, realizing that Tambabashi knows how to solve things without powers. At night, the three played with fireworks while Lady Yuka and Kon watch them, and the goddess tells the little fox that it is not necessary for her to train because she chose her to be Inari's familiar because the two have similar personalities, which makes Kon smile. Back to the present, Inari returns to the shrine after school and smiles when she sees her empty Tupperware, and she leaves knowing that Lady Yuka and Kon enjoyed her offering.